today we are here to do the long-awaited why we didn't go to college video. I want to preface first that we are in no way against college. I really hope that my doctors, and if I had a lawyer or something, I hope that they had gone to college. But for us personally, we decided not to go to college, and we're just going to talk a little bit about why we decided that that was the best decision for us.
So when I originally thought about doing this video, I wanted to do all kinds of research, get all kinds of statistics, and have a very laid out format for this video. But when I sat down to try and put it in a list of how it would be laid out, I couldn't put it down on a piece of paper. So this is all just gonna kind of play by ear.
Our mouths.
Yeah, it's just gonna let it flow, essentially.
Besides a few statistics, so we make sure we say them right, nothing's written down. We don't have a plan of how this is going to go. It's just gonna go.
So it's kind of gonna be like we're just having a conversation with somebody about why we chose not to go to college.
Yes. So I guess the best place to start off would be to explain that I actually was originally going to go to college. Our parents were not the type of parents that were going to pay for our college. If we wanted to go to college, we had to pay for ourselves. So going to like an expensive 4-year like in a dorm college was not in the realm of possibilities for me. I guess I could have gotten a loan, but even back then, before I knew financial principles and not going into debt and stuff like that, that was something that never really entered my mind, the idea of getting a loan. So I kind of had in my mind, I don't see the point, in spending 2 years at a really expensive 4-year college. Why not just go to College of DuPage? It's like the #1 or #2 best community college in the United States or something like that. And so in my mind, I was always like, well, I'll go there the first 2 years and then maybe I'll finish up my last 2 years at an actual college, because I just don't see the point in spending the money on a 4-year, fancy college when I have a really good college right within 15 minutes of me. So I was going to do that. But then we started learning more facts about college and all that, which we'll get into in a little bit after Ryan explains how he got to where he is, I guess. But I just decided it wasn't for me. And originally I was going to go to college just to be an interior designer. And then I later decided that I kind of just wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. So again, it seemed pointless.
And so for me, kind of same track, same mindset. In high school, I was thinking of going to college for architecture. And with that, it's something that I really loved. I still like to do it, but I was really looking at, because at this point, we were together, and so no matter what we decided to do with college, if one of us decided to go one place and the other another place, that would have split us up, and we didn't want that. That had a weighing factor, but then, like she said, we really started to learn some new information, at which point I started looking at how much money would I make as an architect from anywhere from the beginning of my career to like the top of the career. Like if I was the absolute best in my field, how much would I make? And then comparing those costs to how much debt I would go into to go to college, to me it just didn't add up. Let's just throw out some ballpark numbers. Whether or not this is accurate, I don't know, because it's just coming out of my mind right now. So let's say at a very low end, say I paid $20,000 to go to college for 4 years. That, if you look at any statistics, that's extremely low as far as I'm aware.
I think the nearest state college for when we would have looked at going to college is probably more now. I think it was like $11,000 a year. And so, that's if you're in state. Yeah,
and that's, so there you're looking at $44,000 for a 4-year degree. And then looking at, I want to say the starting for architecture, if I remember correctly, was like $32,000 a year. As a first-year architect, I wouldn't even have enough money if I had absolutely no expenses to cover my college debt, let alone having living expenses on top of that, car, so travel to work, food, all these different expenses, wife. Not that you're that expensive, sweetheart.
Sometimes I am.
Sometimes you definitely are. When all that adds up, that could take 5, 10. I'm pretty sure there's people that have had that have been paying off college debt for 20 some years, or there's like 20-year loans you can get for college.
Yeah.
To me, that seems outrageous. I would never want to spend 20 years of my life
Especially because you're ending up paying more than you're actually paying.
Because I mean, over those years, you're paying anywhere from 1.5 to sometimes 3 times as much as the upfront cost would have been. So that's kind of like on where we come in from debt side of it. And you guys have seen that before.
Yeah.
To me, college has always seemed of more of like a business. The colleges are in it for money. That's what their job is. And then adding in the government side of it, I don't want to get political here, because this has nothing to do with this political party or this political party. No, doesn't matter. A couple years ago, the government said that banks cannot give out student loans. So the government has a monopoly over all student loans. And I want to say, I read a statistic, this was probably about 1.5 years back. I think it was 2012. The government had like $3 billion or $3 trillion profit from student loans. So that's just the interest on student loans alone. So here's a few statistics that I recently heard. I don't have the exact sources that these came from, but I heard it from a gentleman that is very trustworthy, and I trust him that he did the good research to get this accurate information.
He's a very well-known leadership speaker, so
yes,
you can trust that these facts he actually read, did not make up. And if you guys really want like the actual links, let us know and I can try and find them for you.
A few things that he had mentioned was that for colleges it's like $50, about $50 to apply to any college. I don't know, I never applied to any colleges, but if you think about that alone, there's thousands of people that apply to a college every year.
And you apply to several different ones, sometimes not even getting into all of them.
Say you apply to 5 different colleges. I'd say that's pretty average.
Yeah, probably.
So that's $250 that you just took out of pocket, that you're just giving pure profit to these colleges just to say, yes, you're accepted, you can come here. Another one that he had mentioned was that the average credit hour costs about $300 to $600. And on average, you need about 120 credit hours for just a bachelor's degree. If you extrapolate that out quick, that's what, on the low end, $36,000. Sorry guys, some of this just baffles me.
Like we mentioned in the beginning, we're in no way trying to put down if you made the decision to go to college or if you didn't. It's, like I said, if you're a doctor or a dentist, I really hope that you went to college. I would not want you just saying, I'm gonna teach this to on my own and then, we'll be good. No.
Not at all.
It's more just making sure that you've made the educated decision for yourself and you've made the decision that's right for you. So what's right for us may not be right for you, and what's right for you may not be right for us. It's not to say that your decision was wrong or right. It's just, again, you guys asked us to do this video, so we're explaining kind of our side of things, so don't take it as we're saying, if you went to college, you're dumb, or it's not that. It's just that these are the things that made us make the decision not to.
It comes down to information. 99% of people are told by their parents, by their teachers in high school, you need to go to college and get a degree in something. You gotta go. It's the thing to do.
Yeah, and that is because it used to be that way.
Yeah.
It used to be that going to college, you could go to college, you'd get a degree, you could get a job, and you were safe and secure in that job. But because we're in a different day and age now, it's not the same anymore. Just because you have that degree doesn't mean that you're for sure locked into that position and that you'll never lose it. So that's another thing when it comes into college, is that people are still stuck in that industrial age thinking of needing to go to college and then get, a good job and then you're good and you're safe. But we're in the information age now. So it's a lot different, and you don't necessarily need a degree to thrive today, because there's a lot of things like entrepreneurs, for instance. A lot of those huge companies like Apple and such, or Facebook, or all of these different industries are a lot of people that didn't even graduate from college or dropped out of college. So it's just a different world now than it used to be. So probably one of the biggest statistics that has stuck in our mind as a big reason that we didn't go the route of college is because actually in 2012, 37% of graduates ended up in a field that didn't even require a degree. And then there's another statistic which I can't think of right now, but it is very large, well over 30% I'm sure, that people that end up with a degree and they end up in a position that doesn't even, it requires a degree but not the degree that they actually got.
It's in a different field.
Yeah, they're working in totally different fields. So that is definitely a huge thing that I think that's the first statistic I ever heard that made me question going to college, was seeing that there were so many people now that were getting degrees and doing what they thought they were supposed to be doing for them, and then they would go, they'd graduate from college, they'd get out, and then they'd end up in a field, not just for like a 1 year period, it was sometimes several years, or permanently they ended up in a field that they didn't even get that degree in. And I can actually think of someone right now that's been in a totally different industry where Ryan used to work. She has a very good degree and she's not using it. Yeah. So there's a lot of people that are ending up in that position.
Another one is that 8% of college graduates are unemployed. Now, think back to what I was mentioning about the debt and the money that you spend on college. Yeah. Now picture that you have that debt and you don't even have a job to pay off those debts.
So we're getting to that age now that the people that we went to school with that decided to go to college are graduating soon or have like just graduated. And there have been several people that I have seen mention like, now I just need to find a job so I can pay off my debt. And there's a lot of people that unfortunately aren't able to, or it takes them several years to find a job. And it, like I said, back in the industrial age, used to not be that way. It used to be that, you know, you got out of college, you got a job right away. But now it's a lot different.
And one of the reasons that I think that is simply, actually, I read something about this a long time ago, but back in the day, college degrees were not as common.
Yeah.
So if you went to college and got a degree, you stood out to the employers from everybody else.
So yeah, now they're looking at applications and everyone has a degree, so it just makes everybody look the same.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make you necessarily stand out from the crowd. So I guess the next place to kind of go would be the education route that we decided to go. Because just because we decided not to go to college doesn't mean we decided that we're never going to learn again and we're never going to pick up a book or do anything to improve ourselves, I guess.
That would really put us back. And that's another thing with people that go to college, is not saying everybody, but majority of people that go to college, I've heard say, as soon as I'm done, I'm never reading another book again. And it's like, once they graduate, they feel like they've hit the top and they don't need any more education, which is totally false.
Yes, so we decided to go the route of self-education, basically. So you guys, a lot of you know that we read marriage books and such, and those are probably, I think, the only type of self-help books that we've talked to you guys about. Like giving you like actual books that we've read ourselves, but we read books in all different types of areas. So whether it's in leadership, business, just normal relationships in general, not just our marriage. So we read self-help books in all areas of our life to kind of help educate ourselves.
Through doing that, we develop ourselves to then be more marketable, I guess, in the job.
It sounds so weird.
That's really what it is. Because
yeah.
with a college degree, that's what you're trying to do, is make yourself more marketable to all these different companies.
Yeah.
But even now, I've heard so many stories of people that go more the self-education route but don't have degrees, and they're getting hired over people that actually have degrees, even though they don't, just because the businesses see that as you're putting in the effort to continue your education, rather than, like I mentioned, going to college, finishing, and then thinking, I don't need any more education.
Yeah. If you decide to make the decision not to go to college, if you just decide you're done with education altogether, unfortunately, you're probably not going to move much more forward in life, because, again, you're going to be seen as the same as everyone else without a college degree. whereas you can add to your application, you know, the last 5 self-help books that you read. And that to an employer is very interesting because nowadays they don't see that kind of thing. And especially a lot of company owners, they read some of those books themselves. Like for instance, with Ryan, on his resume, we have the top 5 books that he's read recently or his favorites. And like he had mentioned, the owner of the company that he now works for, they had actually read some of those books. So to them, that's very interesting because to the normal application that they get, that's not on there. Yeah. People aren't reading nowadays. Like Ryan said, everyone's like, I'm out of college or I'm out of high school, I'm done, I'm never picking up a book again. And I understand everyone has their love-hate relationship with reading, some more so on the hate side. But you can develop a love for reading, you really can. Most people find it kind of boring, and the more you read, the more you kind of just fall in love with it, I guess. And
not to backtrack too much, but something that Ariana had mentioned was like the Michael Dell, Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, all these like huge companies that they were all college dropouts. I read an article recently when I was originally wanting to do the research for this, and the article was talking about how everybody uses those as examples, but then so many people drop out of college expecting, oh, I'm gonna
become
build
the
this
next
huge
Steve
company.
Jobs.
And that's not realistic, guys.
Yeah.
So please don't drop out of college or drop out
Don't
of
see
college.
this video and be like, I'm dropping out,
Yes.
and then I'm done.
Yeah.
Please don't do that.
Don't do that. And don't look at it as, I'm gonna drop out and have so much big success. They built their success while they were in college, and I think most of them were kicked out because they were running a business in their dorm rooms. And it's like, the colleges don't like that because then they're not the ones making money. So don't look at it that way, but there is a lot to learn. I mean, we have so much more to learn that we can learn, but look at it more of the self-help side of it, or the self-education side of it. I know a lot of people don't like the
They don't like the word self-help.
But look, I encourage you to really do more research on the self-education side, rather than, if I know there's a lot of like high schoolers that watch us. I guarantee it, you're gonna be told by your parents and by your counselors at school that you need to decide where you want to go to college and go. You have no choice. I want to tell you that you do have a choice. Obviously, you need to be respectful to your parents.
Yes.
Please don't be disrespectful, because
don't go over to them and say, the Pflederer said I don't need to go to college, so I'm not going to college. If you do that, you're never going to get to watch us again.
Yeah,
I'm just saying, your parents will be very angry. So
Yes.
you need to do the research yourself. If it's something that you are second guessing, then like I just said, do the research and speak to your parents as an adult. Don't just be like, I'm not going to college, and don't explain to them why. Of course, that's not going to go over well, because your parents right now have the same information that you did prior to watching this video.
Yeah.
So you have to remember that they haven't seen what we've said or what the research you did after seeing this. They don't know. So you have to understand that and kind of speak to them like an adult and not get upset, if they don't see eye to eye right away. But for first and foremost, make sure that it's the right decision for you.
Yeah.
And it's not just because you saw a few facts and you thought, oh, well, I'm not going that route then. Especially if, the field you want to go to is nursing or a doctor or a dentist or something like that, then you have to go to college.
That's required.
Yeah, that's required. You can't get around that one. Sorry.
So college is definitely good in some cases. And I would encourage everybody to do the research before you make that decision.
Yeah.
You can't just say, I'm not going to go to college and then sit on your butt. That's not going to work.
No.
You gotta
Don't use this video as an excuse to be lazy.
Yes. Please don't do that.
Yes.
If you decide that you don't want to go to college, you need to come up with an alternative plan. What are you going to do to overcome the obstacle of no college degree? That isn't really an obstacle in my mind, but in other people's minds it could be.
Yes. I am going to speak about Ryan highly for a little bit, because someone could be watching this video right now and say, where are your results, I guess, to back up your decision not to go to college, which is completely understandable. You don't want to be taking, you know, advice from 21-year-olds who maybe we still make barely any money, and we have lots of debt and stuff like that. You know, we don't have any debt. But Ryan, for instance, he started at the age of 19 at the company that he used to work for when he worked in the trade show industry. So in the 2 years that he worked at this company, up until he recently changed positions to a new one, his entire salary doubled. And he now makes at the new company way more than probably any average degree that you would look at the age of 21. And I'm not saying that to say look at us or anything like that, because I'm the one speaking highly of my husband. But it's to show you guys basically that you don't need a degree to make the kind of money that you want to make necessarily. Because I'm not going to outright say obviously what my husband makes or anything like that, but I can promise you that it is a lot more than the average person that has a degree. So you can definitely succeed when it comes to the business and the corporate side of things without a degree. But it is because he does a lot of reading, and at the age of 21 he acts more the age of 30. So it's a lot of bettering himself and learning things, and that is why he is where he is. So that's kind of just to give you guys a little understanding, I guess.
So I think that's gonna about wrap it up for this video. I know it was kind of scatterbrained and we went all over the place with it, but I hope it makes sense. I hope you guys, like I said multiple times, I hope you think about it. I hope you take it all into consideration and look at the facts. And don't just listen to what you're told, because honestly, look at the average person. The average person is in debt, is having difficulty in their marriage, and they're just not happy because
they're just
what
taught
they were
the wrong
told.
information. And it's not necessarily wrong on them or the people that necessarily even taught them the information. It's just that people don't know anymore, just because things have changed and the world as a whole is different now. And so there's a lot of new information that can help people, but they just haven't gotten a chance to hear it yet. And even like Ryan just said, don't just take what you hear. Don't even just take what you hear from us. Do your own research. Go, I don't want to say go on the internet, do your own research, because you can get a lot of wrong things on the internet. Make sure you do your research. However you decide to do that, just make sure that whatever decision you make, it is well thought out and it's what's best for you. So, like I said, what's best for us may not be best for you. What's best for you might not be best for us. So, we hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we hope this gave you some insight into why we decided not to go to college.
If you learned something new or got your brain thinking, make sure you give it a thumbs up. And as always, guys, we will see your wonderful faces tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, guys.